Welcome into the world of football, everybody. I am your host, Adam Snow, a loyal AF1 fan, and joining me is the Benedict Arnold of the AF1 world, my father, Randy Snow. We all know he jumped ship from being a Billings fan to a Cats fan. Now he's pretending he's a Billings fan again. It's all confusing. He's the founder of the world of football, and he's here to help me recap the playoff semifinals in Arena Football 1. And we're going to look forward a little bit to the matchup of Arena Crown 2025. Benedict, how are you doing today?
I'm not speaking to you.
Oh, just like Steven Titus isn't speaking to you? Well, bam, I got him, everybody. I got him.
Hey, I am wearing my Billings Outlaw shirt because of being called out by you and many other people, it seems like, who are jumping on your bandwagon to jump on me. Well, I'm still a Billings fan.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's pretty crummy if somebody's just trying to generate social media buzz and backlash against their father. I mean, that'd be pretty scummy.
It certainly is. Let's get going.
All right. Hey, it's all good fun, everybody. We all know. Randy's as loyal as they come. No, he's not. All right. Look, we had two semifinal games to talk about this weekend. But before we get into that, we would like to remind you guys that we do have some social media channels for you to check out. And if you could go over there and follow us on those, it'd be greatly appreciated. And if you could also like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, that also helps us out, guys, helping us grow this thing. It's been a fun season. We've got to meet a lot of fun new people along the way of talking about this inaugural AF1 season. So why not a few more, guys? We're having a blast. So let's keep that one going. So let's just jump right into it, Dad. The playoffs, the semifinals began Saturday night in the AF1 with the Albany Firebirds punching their tickets to host the first ever Arena Crown game, winning this one 75-44. I know you had a little bit of confusion trying to watch this game because we were a touchdown in, and you're like, what network's this on?
Well, the last thing I heard last week when we were, doing last week's recap was that both of these games were going to be on Vice. And so come game time, I'm looking at Vice and it's not there. And I thought, well, maybe they just don't have the TV updated where it says Arena Football. They've got something else going on. So I started watching this other thing, and it was after a few minutes, it was obvious they weren't going to have the game on. And I texted you, and you said, "Oh no, they changed it the other day, and it's on Evergreen now tonight." So then I had to pull out my laptop, and then I was able to watch the game. So yeah, I missed the first touchdown or so in this game. But
I mean,
very confusing.
I like giving you crap, but yeah, they moved this game to Evergreen that night, and I thought the broadcast itself was pretty good.
Yes,
the guys at Albany do a very good job. We'll talk about the announcing here in a second, but let's talk about this game. Look, I thought Salina was going to be a very good matchup for this Firebirds team, and that first half was great.
Yes.
Yeah, Albany still had a little bit of a lead going into halftime. They were up 35-25, so there was only a 10-point game going into halftime. That's kind of been the sweet spot for Salina, as long as they kept it close. And I was figuring even at that point, I was like, oh, this is where Salina wants them. You're only down by a couple possessions. A couple fluky things happen. The ball goes your way. Your defense steps up, and Salina's right back in it.
Yep.
No, so Salina, second half was a totally different story for them. The Firebirds the Firebirds knew, it seemed like that's what this team does well. Well, we're gonna try our darndest to not let that happen. And Sam Castronova put on a clinic. I know all year long I've been kind of hesitant to call Sam Castronova the outright MVP, but he played like it during this game. He threw a few beautiful balls. There's that ball right before the end of the half where he had two defenders that it went over. That was a pretty good pass. I thought that there was a pass in the second half, a longer bomb that I thought was way, a little better than that one. But he was darting it around, and he was playing like they were going to give him the MVP award that night. And his stat line real quick was 21 of 33 for 303 yards. He threw for 8 touchdowns. He ran for 2 more. So 10 total touchdowns for this dude on the night. What'd you think of Cashanova's performance? And let's get your overall thoughts on the game.
Well, like you said, I think he wanted to cement his place as the MVP of the league this year. So he was definitely doing everything he could to showcase himself on national TV, and he did a good job. Like you said, this was a close game in the first half. Albany was up 35-25, but then Albany outscored Salina 20-6 in the third quarter to take a 55-31 lead, and then they outscored Salina 20-13 in the fourth quarter, giving you that 75-44 score, and kept Albany with a perfect record, 11-0 now on the season. They're just a juggernaut. A lot of times you say the teams are peaking. They've been peaking all season long. Yeah, they had some close games. Yeah, they had to fight, but not a blemish on their record so far. And hosting the Arena Bowl, that's a big feather in their cap. So everything's coming up Albany right now.
You can't call it the Arena Bowl, Randy. It's the Arena Crown.
Sorry, Arena Crown.
And Casanova spread it around too. He had 4 different receivers catch 2 touchdown passes apiece, so he was sharing that wealth. So I mean, I'll admit I was one of those people who I was kind of leaning towards Dwayne Brown, the wide receiver for the Firebirds, as the MVP. I thought, yeah, Casanova's been good, but I had been personally kind of leaning towards Dwayne Brown. And yes, for a long period of time, I was on the Henry Nell for MVP train. I think I was the only captain on that train. But don't get me wrong, I still think Henry Nell's a heck of a kicker, probably the best in the league.
Yep.
But, clearly Casanova is the MVP candidate. He is the number one choice. And Dwayne Brown, while I was there for the last several weeks for the Dwayne Brown train, he had 2 touchdown catches, 98 yards off of 8 catches in this one. He still had a great game. They got a plethora of receivers there in Albany, and with Casanova spreading that wealth, I mean, yeah, Casanova, he did his thing. Markel Wade had 2 catches for 68 yards, 2 touchdown catches. Isaiah Scott had 5 catches for 79 yards and 2 touchdown catches. Darian Townsend had 4 catches for 40 yards and 2 touchdown catches. Shoot, they even got offensive lineman Brandon Nicholson in there, 2 catches for 18 yards. So
they
awesome.
Were
spreading the wealth. They were spreading the wealth. I mean, there's a couple big men touchdowns this weekend, or in the next game we're talking about. Big man came to play, and I love to see it.
Yeah.
But so go ahead.
Both of these games this weekend were pretty good. But yeah, I love to see the big men getting touchdowns, and it was nice to see that.
Well, not in this game, no touchdown, but it's still nice to see the offensive linemen get involved in the game. That's always nice to see. Casho, obviously, with the 2 touchdowns at the ground. So, like I said, he's won me over. Give him the MVP award. I mean, it's pretty much set in stone, I think, after that performance. And then I want to talk real quick before we move on to the next game, because, look, Albany deserved to win this game. But also, real quick, Salina, great season for them. Yeah, they started off 0-4. They had a very strong second half of the season. I think Coach O deserves a lot of credit there in the way that team kind of turned around. I was a little sad to see he didn't get any nominations for the Coach of the Year for that turnaround. I'm not saying he should have won, but I think he deserved at least one of those nominations for the way he turned that team around.
I agree.
But I mean, we'll talk about the nominations later. We'll talk about that. Got a whole list we'll get to. Sure. Well, I just want to give Salina. I want to give Salina some love. They, heck of an effort. Yeah, it didn't end the way you wanted. And that second half, it stinks that it couldn't have been a little closer. That first half, oh man, I was so excited for that second half of that game. And Albany did what Albany's been doing, and they've been a buzzsaw.
After the first half, you kind of thought, oh boy, this is going to go right down the wire.
Oh,
Who's going to have the ball in their hands last. And that's the way it was setting up, but it just didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, just didn't turn out that way like I was hoping for. I was prepared for that too. I was so excited. But Albany just, they did their thing. And real quick, I want to talk about the broadcast itself. I don't know how you felt about the announcers. Look, they went with the home team broadcasting guys. Nothing wrong with that for the playoff game. The only thing that bugs me a little bit, not that these guys are bad at their jobs, it was just a little too homery for me. I don't know how everybody else felt. I felt like every Sam Casanova pass was just hyped up to the nth degree. Like, yeah, it was good, but dude, like, come on. Can we just settle it down just a smidge? Just a smidge. Like, that's the greatest pass I've seen Casanova. Okay, hold on. It was a little screen pass that the wide receiver or lineman had to do most of the work on. Let's just calm it down a little bit. I don't know if these are the guys that are going to be called upon to do the broadcast for the Arena Crown. We'll get to that little debate in a second, because there's another announcer that I want to throw their cap into the ring if they're able to do it.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. I just if it's these guys, I beg you, I cannot stand the homer for the championship game. I can't do it. Yeah. I mean, we'll be there, so we won't hear them do it. But I just, guys, just you got to tone it down just a smidge. I get you're excited for your team, but man, dial it back. Just dial it back a little bit.
A little more impartiality in the broadcast.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, that's why we can't do a Lions broadcast because we wouldn't be able to do it.
Nope.
But anyway, anything else from this game before we move on? Congratulations to Albany, MVP Arena. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. They're going to do a great job hosting. I'm very excited.
Yep. It's going to be a great atmosphere.
Oh, heck yeah. All right, if you guys are enjoying what you're seeing, we'd like to let you know that we also do a weekly podcast called This Week in the World of Football. Find those available on wherever your podcast can be found. This is an audio version only type show. We'll get to that in a second. Dad, what are some stuff we'll be talking about on episode 399?
Well, there's a brand new trophy up in the Canadian Football League that's going to kick off the Calgary Stampede this year. And another story that we're going to be talking about is the University of Wisconsin has filed a lawsuit against Miami, accusing the school of tampering with one of the players that they have, the Badgers have, under contract. This is something that we're not used to, but this is the world we live in now.
Yes, it is. That and so much more we'll be diving into. Obviously, we'll be diving into the AF1 games again and some other stuff. So be sure, again, to check out episode 399 of This Week in the World of Football every Tuesday, right here on YouTube or wherever good podcasts can be found. And we'd like to remind you guys that in 1 week, on July 1st, it's a Tuesday, it's Canada Day, we're going to be doing our first ever live show to do episode 400 of that podcast. We're celebrating by having on a few guests, including Tim Capper, you guys might have seen over there at the AF1 Fan Zone. And he's also done stuff with Arena Fan, obviously. And he's got his own CFL stuff he does that we'll probably talk to him about a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to have our friend Greg St. James talk a little Japan football. I was going to say Japanese football, Japan football. He does Gridiron Japan. And then we got our buddy Trey from Off the Wall who's going to make an appearance. And then our buddy Royce who does Viking Wax Press will also be stopping by. We're going to have a jam-packed show live. Well, come watch us crash and burn or come watch one of the greatest live experiences of all time. I'm not one for hyperbole, but it just might be that. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
So check that out. We'll be on.
We're going to have guests from around the world.
There you go. Around the world of football, everybody. Hence the name. There you go. Great job, Randy, for coming up with that.
You're welcome.
So it'll be on YouTube, our X account. I think it might be on Instagram and our Facebook. It'll be streaming that night. Be on the lookout for it, guys. Our 400th live show. 1 week. My goodness, we're going to have a very busy week coming up. Because we also...
It is going to be a busy week coming up.
It's going to be a very busy week. We'd also like to remind everybody, we got a couple of interviews we did this past week in the AF1 sphere. We talked to Gary Compton, the director of football operations of the AF1. And then we talked to Oregon Lightning quarterback Dalton Cole. Both fun interviews, both fun guys to chit-chat with. So go over there, check out those interviews if you haven't already and you're craving a little more AF1 content. And if you're not already sick of the AF1 content we're doing, well, let's hype up some friends who are doing some stuff. The guys over at the AF1 Fan Zone, Tim Capper and Scott Burke have invited us to be on their live show Tuesday night. As of right now, we think it's still canceled now that we've confirmed that we'll do it with them. But we'll see what happens. We should both be on there, if not just Randy. We'll see how my schedule goes. But that's the plan. He says they're going to do a round table. There might be some more guests. Not sure the details. But go over there, subscribe to their channel too, guys, and get that alert when they go live. Because when it's live, you're going to want to hear that theme song they got to open up that show. Because it's a pretty fire theme song. It gets stuck in my head every week when I check out their show. But all right, guys. We're done with the plugs. We have a second game to get to. On Sunday, the second playoff game of the weekend saw the Nashville Cats hold off the Southwest Kansas Storm 48-43. This was a game played in Clarksville, Tennessee. Not their typical arena they've been playing in there in Nashville. But boy, did the crowd look great there. And Dad, there's one important person there that we like to gush about that lended his dulcet tones to this game and gave it a little bit of life that I haven't felt watching an arena football game since the last time he did it, and that's Eli Gold.
Yes.
One of the greatest announcers in the history of announcing things. The voice of arena football, as we like to call him here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He is a man that can turn the dullest game into the greatest spectacle of all time. And as we know, this game was 7-6 in the first quarter. I was literally on the edge of my seat, just like listening to Mr. Eli Gold to speak arena words to me. I was in heaven. Any thoughts on this game, Dan? I know I gotta stop. Otherwise, I'll just keep gushing about Eli Gold. I could just keep going.
Yeah, no, the fact that it was in Clarksville was interesting. I think it only seats I think 6,000 people, but it was pretty much packed, and that looked really good on TV when you've got a packed arena. No matter how big or small it is, it looked fairly packed. There were a few empty seats here and there, but I want to go to a game in Clarksville next year.
It was a near sellout. I mean, there's rumors going around that maybe this is their permanent home next year. Could they become the Tennessee Cats? I don't know. Just it's got a nice little ring to it. Just a slight rebranding, but I was very happy with that atmosphere and those Cats fans.
Yeah,
they showed up. It was awesome. Good for them. They got to see their team get the win to go to the AF1 championship game, the Arena Crown, if you will. And they did. It was a great game. Eli Gold, made it even better. Not even going to lie about that. Because I think if any other announcer had done this game, I probably would have been checking my phone a lot more. Probably would have tuned out a little bit. But man, the fact that Eli Gold was just spitting arena football goodness all over that TV screen I was in heaven. It was great.
Did you say he was spitting gold? Eli Gold was?
He always does. You get him on that screen, that's all he does. But no, look, let's talk about this game itself. The Cats, the number 2 seed, they played Southwest Kansas twice this year. The series was tied at 1 apiece. Obviously, Southwest Kansas won that Week 0 game against what everybody's kind of referred to as the camp team for the Cats because they only had 4 days to prepare for that game. So this Cats team is such a totally different team from that game to where they are now, about to play for an Arena Crown championship. Head coach Darren Arbette, I mean, one of the GOATs. He's done a heck of a job with that team.
Yes.
Tyler Kulk at the helm for that team has been great as well. That defense has been stellar. They got a lot of playmakers on that team. And I hate to say they've flown under the radar with 8 teams in the league, but I feel like the Cats have been a team that haven't been as talked about or as loved as much as maybe the Storm or, Billings keeps getting mentioned. I just feel like somewhere in there, the Cats might have kind of gotten lost to the outside. If you're not in the arena sphere, might have gotten a little lost. But they've been doing a lot of stuff right, and we'll talk about them some more later. But I just felt like they controlled this game. Southwest Kansas got close to making it a comeback, but man, Nashville they clearly wanted it. And it was a chippy game, too. There was a lot of chippiness in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like you said, the Cats were up 7-6 after the first quarter. They were up 22-12 at halftime. The Cats led 35-22 after 3 quarters. So, the Storm were hanging in there. They were down a touchdown or 2 touchdowns, but they weren't getting blown out at that point. And finally, Nashville was up 48-33 with 1 minute remaining. And Southwest Kansas went for an onside kick at that point, and it wasn't any good, and the Cats were able to run out the clock. So it was going right down to the wire, this game. So it was pretty exciting. But like you were saying, Nashville kind of came out of nowhere. They were kind of stuck in the 3rd or 4th playoff position for the second half of the season, maybe, and they jumped up to that number 2 spot after the regular season was over with, and so that allowed them to host a playoff game. Otherwise, they'd have been on the road somewhere, and things could have been different. But clearly, they are one of the better teams, and I think you've got the good matchup for the Arena Crown with the number 1 seed going against the number 2 seed for it all, and so I'm happy for the Cats.
Yeah, and in Southwest Kansas, that they're on that 3-game slide to end the year. Obviously, they lost the back-to-back to Salina.
Both some of those were pretty close games.
Those 2 close games until I think they had the lead for all but 3 seconds total in those 2 games, and they lost both of them. So what a crazy end of the year for the Storm. They got a good foundation there. They can bring some of those playmakers back, like Washington, the wide receiver there. That dude. He was John. I was kind of digging it. Demarius Washington, and he had a good game. He backed up a lot of the talk. 2 of the receivers though, real quick for the Storm. Demarius Washington, 8 catches, 119 yards for 3 touchdowns. Charles Hall the 4th had 9 catches for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Morton, the quarterback, 20 of 37, 296 yards. He threw for 6 touchdowns during this game. And then he also went three rushing attempts for 27 yards. So, they had the playmakers. It's just when it came down to it, Nashville got some crucial stops. There was a lot of, and that was something that in this game I thought was crucial, was the number of stops during this game, because that first possession, both teams started off the game with turnovers on downs. Something that bugged me watching both the broadcasts and pretty much all season has been the teams going for it on fourth down in a decent field goal spot that feels like, hey, just take the points. Why risk giving the other team the ball back and having a bigger point swing? I'd risk a missed field goal and having it bounce off, and maybe you get it back.
Yeah.
That would be my strategy. Clearly, the coaches for some of these teams aren't thinking the same way. But
and I think you pointed out over the course of the season that a few teams have some really good kickers, and other teams have a so-so kicker. So maybe you don't trust them with a 35 or 40-yard field goal from the middle of the field or whatever. So, but I think going into next year, I think they really should be putting an emphasis on every team having a darn good kicker, because that's a very important part of the offense in arena football.
Yeah, because I can't tell how many times it just feels like a game gets out of hand so fast just because they go for it and you don't get it. Oh, what happened over there?
This was my camera that looks out in the front yard.
Are you sure that wasn't Steve Titus just throwing a brick through your window? That's what it sounded like. I hope the audio picked that up.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on there, but
what
it's fine.
Okay, what in the world?
I'll pick it up.
Yeah, look. But yeah, so the Storm, look, a good season for them. It didn't end the way they wanted, obviously, but I think they got a lot of, like I said, a lot of good stuff to build on going into next year. And for the Cats, they're sitting pretty good going into a championship game. And while I'm pretty sure everybody will be thinking this is Albany's game, careful of these Cats. They did play Albany pretty tough. They had a lead on them. Yeah, they lost that lead, but you got a really good and smart head coach in Darren Arbette.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's not going to let something like that happen twice, just like how Albany wasn't going to let Salina happen to them twice. So I think we're going to be sitting pretty good for a championship match.
Yeah, Arbette, he's been to this championship game many times before. He's won a number, he's lost a few, but he's got that experience of what it takes in a championship game to come out with a win. And you got Albany that's 11-0, and you've got the number 2 ranked Cats at 7-4. So looking at the numbers like that, you say, "Oh, this is going to be Albany's game easy." But when you've got an experienced coach in Arbette, the sky's the limit there. So yeah, this should be a really, really good game.
Yep. So let me real quick recap some of the stats here for the Cats at least. Tyler Kulka went 18 of 21 for 250 yards. He threw for 5 touchdown passes. On the ground, he had a good performance out of Calvin Fonts. I believe that's how you say his name. He had 4 attempts for 6 yards, but getting the 2 touchdowns is a big deal right there. They like to ground and pound there. It's going to look ugly, but man, getting those 2 touchdowns is big. And as far as their receivers, how about Niger Jackson, who had 6 catches for 131 yards. He had 2 touchdown catches. He had a couple of outstanding catches in this game too. There's a lot in this game that Tyler Kulka threw a dime to the end zone. So we'll see if they can produce some fireworks next week against the Firebirds. And I've already gushed about Eli Gold. I could do it some more, but we can move on, Dad. Anything else from this game before we just move on?
No, I'm good with this game.
All right. So like we mentioned, guys, that sets up the Arena Crown, the brand new championship title for the AF1, the first ever Arena Crown. It'll take place Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Vice TV between the number 2 seed Nashville Cats traveling to MVP Arena in Albany, New York, the capital region, as they like to say, to take on the Albany Firebirds. Dad, we won't do predictions right now because we're going to have a glutton probably of AF1 content later in the week because, guys, we're going to the game, or at least we're planning on it.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
That's the plan right now. I do have us a hotel. We put in for some press passes to the game. As far as I know, we're going to be
talking here. I've actually got to get on the phone with Adam Pelletier of the league.
Oh yeah,
not to name drop anybody. He's probably just telling me to not show up, but we'll see what happens. He said Randy can come, and Adam's got to stay.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so real quick, Dad. So we had Gary Compton on our channel last week. We tried to see if we can maybe get the name out of him. We weren't really pressing him. But then the next night it was revealed the name like the night after the interview. We had gotten done with our regular podcast. Then the name drops, so our timing couldn't be more terrible. What do you think of the name? We haven't even talked about this. This is January. We have not even talked about the name. What do you think about it? The Arena Crown.
Well, it's definitely unique, and you are going to crown a champion, so it does make a lot of sense. The logo is pretty cool. It's the A from the AF1 with a crown on top of it. So they put some work and put some thought into this. So yeah, I like it.
Okay. Look, I tweeted it out as soon as I saw it. I actually had to sit back for a second and let it soak in, because knee jerk reaction was
right.
Yikes, this is what we came up with, guys. But then the more I thought about it, yeah, like you said, the idea of you crown a champion, I was like, okay, yeah, you know what, that's right there. Nobody's ever done that. It's unique enough. They can't use the old names. We talked about that. Those names are tied up in the rights with the people up in Canada. Which you think, if they're Canadian, be nice and send them back. But no, Arena Crown, it's unique enough. And I think, rebranding the title like that, at least it's different. It's not something too cheesy. Yeah, like I kind of mentioned, you're going to have to deal with the Burger King memes. You're going to have to deal with a lot of that. But there's also so much cool stuff you can do. I know Tim and Scott on their show talked about with Gary, like you could talk about the inauguration of the champion. You can do so much with the crown theme that I think there's a lot more pluses than maybe a lot of the negative, like the memes and stuff. And yeah, maybe everybody's going to just stop at Burger King, buy themselves some crowns and show up to the game. But hey, it's going to be fun. I think it's a fun name, and they could do so much with it. So very curious to see this trophy when that gets unveiled. I'm sure this week, obviously, we'll probably get to see that. Yeah. So I don't hate the name. I won't say I love it either, but it's growing on me. It's one of those things where, like you hate all the new stuff that ever happens.
I hate
everything's
change.
better in the past. Yep, you hate change.
I hate change. Period. No matter what it is. So it's I still haven't fully embraced it yet, but once you're there, once you see the trophy, you see it get awarded to one team or another, and spending a couple days there with it, I'll get used to it. But yeah, my first reaction was, oh, it's something different. I don't like it, but that's just me. I'm that way with everything. You know that.
Yeah, and clearly I inherited that from you. So, all right, a few more things to quickly talk about. We'll get out of here, guys, because we got a lot of prepping to do if we're going to hit the road and go to Albany. I mean, shoot, we got to start getting ready. So they announced this past week as well the AF1 Awards finalists. So let's just quickly breeze through some of these. And Dad, if you want to give your thoughts, go for it. They announced the candidates for MVP: Sam Castronova of Albany, Dwayne Brown of Albany, and Jalen Morton of Southwest Kansas. It seems clear cut that they're setting this up to be a Sam Castronova award. Because then when you move on to the other awards, it's kind of apparent like, they're pretty much trying to guarantee that it goes to Castronova.
Yeah, well, it's they didn't ask us for our opinion on who they should have put in for any of these awards, but
because they knew I'd vote for the kicker. They didn't need that on the. They didn't want that.
Yeah, you would have said Henry Nell, and they would have hung up on you, I think.
Probably. That's probably why we didn't get asked to vote on this one. So it's all good. It's cool. Whatever. Then we had Rookie of the Year candidates: Josiah King, the running back out there in Corpus Christi; Jalen Morton, the quarterback in Southwest Kansas; and our friend of the show, Dalton Cole, up for Rookie of the Year, quarterback of the Oregon Lightning. This one seems like they're setting this up for Jalen Morton. Not gonna lie. If you can't win MVP, well, then we'll give him Rookie probably. That just seems how it feels like. But I think Dalton made a case for truly playing arena ball for the first time. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, obviously we're pulling for him. We're pulling for all these guys. I mean, awards are awards and they're subjective or whatever. All three of these guys, tip of the cap to all of them. They had fantastic years. Then Offensive Player of the Year, Dalton Cole, again, quarterback at Oregon. Jalen Morton, again, quarterback at Southwest Kansas. And Dwayne Brown, wide receiver from Albany. This feels like this award's going to him. Because, can't give him MVP, so we'll give him Offensive Player. That just feels like what they're setting up for. You hate to see that, and hopefully it doesn't go that way. Like I said, we didn't vote on any of these, so we'll see how that shakes out. Again, all three guys, totally worthy of that award. Defensive
Agreed.
Player of the Year: Ezekiel Rose, the defensive lineman in Albany; Kerry Starks, the MAC linebacker in Salina; and Michael Lawson, the defensive back at Southwest Kansas. I mean, Lawson's a name that every time I tune into one of those games, you hear him. You hear about Lawson making a play there for Southwest Kansas. So I feel like this award's going to go his way. This one's more of a toss-up, I think, than the other awards. So what do you think?
Yeah, Lawson, didn't he have like 3 interceptions in one of the early games in the season? I
He
think that
might
was him.
have.
Yeah,
He had a good start.
yep. And he played well all season long. So yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, all deserving people for this award. So we'll see who ends up getting it. I'm sure that'll be announced the day before the actual game.
Yeah. And then Assistant Coach of the Year, you got Terry Foster of Nashville, Brandon Sese of Albany. I can't remember how to. They mentioned his name on the broadcast. I forgot how to say it. I should have wrote it down. And then Jason Sheck of Southwest Kansas are your assistant coach nominations or finalists this year. And then Coach of the Year, Damon Ware from Albany, Darren Arbett from Nashville, and Gary Thomas from Southwest Kansas. Again, I would have put Coach O as that third option. Nothing against Coach Thomas from Southwest Kansas. Y'all had great seasons. Everybody,
Yeah.
great seasons. Great head coaches, all of them.
Yep.
I thought Coach O, the way he turned that team around, was impressive. Obviously, what Darren Arbett did with the Cats, taking that camp team and turning them what they are in now. Good sign. And obviously, Damon Ware, undefeated season.
Yeah, hard to argue with that
Of a team. Like all three phases of that team are just like some of the best arena football team I've ever seen. Like, they'll probably go Ware's way, but man, you can make an argument for all these guys. So
Sure. Yep.
So a lot of great finalists, and good luck to all of them when they announce these awards. All right, and our final story before we get out of here, guys. The Nashville Cats did announce some new ownership partner, that being former NASCAR Daytona 500 champion Michael Waltrip, as well as his beer company, Michael Waltrip Brewing. They're going to be official partners of the team. So some more big celebrity stuff for the Cats. They announced John Gruden a while ago, though we still haven't seen John Gruden's face or mention anything. Michael Waltrip came out, but I still got that tinfoil hat on about John Gruden. Hey, maybe we'll see him at the Arena Crown. What a time to unveil him.
Yeah.
But no, this is great. You love to hear this for the Cats. Between this and the partnership that kind of struck up with the arena there in Clarksville,
Yes.
I'm liking the future right now for the Nashville Cats. I really am.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I was watching that game and I thought, man, that looks like a fun place to be. Everybody's so close to the field. There's no upper deck; it's just a lower bowl. But it looks like a really cool place. And
It does.
I wanted to go to a game this year. It didn't work out for us, but definitely, if they play any games or all their games in Clarksville next year, I definitely want to go to a game in Clarksville. Absolutely.
Yeah, even during the broadcast, Eli Gold mentioned how if the certain doors were open just right, there's a cross breeze that goes through there because the ball fell off the tee. So that sounds like an interesting place, and if they can keep packing that place out, that's got to be the way you go.
Yeah.
I know. Us old school arena fans miss the 10,000 seat arenas.
Sure.
Guys, we're just not there right now.
Right.
This league knows and should know that they can fill out a 5,000, 6,000 seat stadium. That should be the goal for the next couple of years, and eventually you could grow.
Sure.
But this is perfect. This is the perfect size and venue for arena football. And I think Nashville has cracked the code. They got great sponsors, and they right now, outside of Albany, have really shown me what a really good organization can do for a community in that team. And that community has embraced the Cats.
Yeah.
Clearly, because they've been showing up for those Cats games, especially in Clarksville.
Yeah. Yep, and it's not that far from Nashville itself. I mean, probably less than
an hour.
Probably an hour or less away. North of Nashville. So it's basically a suburb.
Well, I'm looking forward to checking that. Hopefully, they play there next year. I'd be down to check that out as well.
Oh yeah.
Anything else, Dad? Before we just wrap it up?
No, I'm good.
All right, guys. Just one last thing, real quick. Arena football gods, please get Eli Gold to broadcast this game for you guys. I think that's the way you got to go. This dude classes up the joint. Everything that comes out of his mouth is gold, as Randy said earlier. I think that's the route you got to take, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he can't make it to the game. I'm fully aware of that. Maybe that's the kind of stuff
Yep.
You know, they're gonna go down, but I mean, it's just, man, it's my dream. God, you want to do a championship game right? You get Eli Gold on that call. I tell you what.
That's right.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Yep. We appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned to this channel for more AF1 recaps and goodness, because we're going to have a bunch of stuff. We don't know what we're going to get into going to Albany this week for the Arena Crown game. So keep an eye on the channel and our socials for all of that, guys. And be sure to keep an eye on us for all the other football goodness as the arena, indoor, and spring football season marches forward. We'll see you guys next time on the World of Football.